Hello and welcome to a new series of Great Shouts marketing webinars. I'm your host, Ed Davidson, and I'm also a fractional head of marketing. We're calling this series Growing Pains. So it's going to be kind of focusing on how marketing and growth channels evolve when you're moving from a startup to a scale up. We'll do interviews like this with marketing leaders like Dave here, who've kind of been through that experience from moving from a startup to a scale up. Hopefully kind of warts and all interviews. So kind of revealing what's worked, what hasn't worked, and then getting some good kind of questions in from the community. Dave, be great to hear who you are, what you've done, and a little bit of a background on Zappar.
Hey Ed, yeah, sure thing. Thank you for inviting me on. Appreciate it. So yeah, as you said, I'm head of marketing at Zappar at the moment. But previous to that, I worked in education, so marketing to musicians, which both you and I used to be in previous lives for our sins. And then I moved on to ed tech, so kind of progressing more into headset technology and kind of e-learning solutions. And then from that, I went into augmented reality and virtual reality at Zappar. And Zappar nowadays is essentially 4 business units. We're a UK technology company focused on computer vision. We have a SaaS platform which enables designers and developers to build their own AR, VR, MR experiences. We have a creative studio, a hardware solution called Zapbox. And more recently, we've also moved into the accessibility space as well with our accessible QR code solution. So yeah, we cover a lot of ground for one company.
Great stuff. And look, I want to kick off all of these sessions with I suppose, a kind of grounding of what you define as moving from a startup to more of a scale up. What's your kind of definition of that? Doesn't need to be like a dictionary definition, but how do you see it?
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, let me tell you from my point of view. When I first joined Zappar, I was the first marketer, very much wearing multiple hats, trying to do everything from content marketing to paid marketing, SEO, events, partnerships, pretty much every channel under the sun that we're trying to get work, trying to get some traction, trying to get some channel market fit. And then as we improved, as we got kind of product market fit, we found our sweet spots. Then we started bringing more marketers into the team, started to invest more in specific channels that were working. And the business started growing. So yeah, specialism as well is probably a big part of it. So we started bringing in individuals as part of those roles. So for example, content marketer, we were able to bring in also paid experience as well on the demand side, demand generation side, and search marketing and paid social stuff like that. And then a few bits of outsourced resource as well in terms of PR agencies and SEO agencies as well, as we're just kind of looking to add more fuel to the fire, and get a few more leads into the pipe, as it were. So yeah, a lot of change from a personnel perspective. Some people stick around, others, are only there for a short journey. You kind of move on and have to manage that change within the company. But really exciting, but a lot of challenges as you manage that transition.
Yeah, I'm sure. And to get into that a little bit, obviously each of those parts in detail, I suppose that all the way back when you were like the sole marketer there, what were the kind of KPIs that you were kind of focused on at that point? You kind of mentioned kind of channel market fit together with kind of product market fit and those things kind of running in tandem. Did you have like kind of experience in particular channels that kind of gave you a little bit of more of a focus to those and you were trying those first, or were you quite agnostic and making sure you found the right channels that what made sense to the business?
We definitely first looked at top of funnel metrics, so your classic, traffic to website, conversion to website. So specifically on our SaaS platform, we were looking at, visitor to trial conversion rates, all your kind of classic SaaS metrics. On the content side, we were looking at dwell time on specific pages, on blog content, ebooks, stuff like that. And then in terms of paid search, your cost per click, CPMs, all that good stuff. So it's very much top of funnel at the start. And then as I grew my career, definitely worked down more into those kind of sales metrics, looking at sales qualified leads, what's actually converting to a closed deal, or becoming a customer and moving a bit further down funnel, and just understanding what's actually driving revenue versus just looking at those kind of really top funnel metrics that are, good leading indicators, but aren't necessarily an indicator of high quality leads that are going to convert.
And as those kind of KPIs evolved, and you obviously will go into channels in more detail, but the channels changed, did you see that you had better returns so you could scale at a kind of lower CAC based on the kind of branding and understanding in the business? Or was there a certain amount of demand that you'd captured, and then when you were trying to generate the demand wider, it became more expensive? Sometimes those two things can work in kind of friction with each other.
Yeah, definitely. I think what we found on the paid side, especially, was there was a ceiling that we hit quite quickly from a volume perspective. The AR/VR industry is quite small, so there's only a select number of keywords and long tail keywords on top of that we can target. So, we really pushed spend quite high just to see how much traffic we could get in, then picked off those high quality keywords and then started to reduce down budget and also see which keywords we could move across to organic search and really reduce that spend. So there was a lot of experimentation there in terms of what was that kind of sweet spot where we knew we were going to get return on investment and a better bang for our buck, really. But that probably took 6 months for us to get to a point where we could go, okay, this is the right amount to spend, $1 in, $3 back, those kind of unit economics.
I suppose on that paid, did you go slightly wider, up the funnel there in terms of more kind of informational terms that you could then convert into a lead, NQL lead that wasn't necessarily a sale, but you could nurture over time? Or did you just keep at the bottom of the funnel and then move on to other channels?
Yeah, we started with low hanging fruit. So really the keywords that were converting at the highest rates. But then, like you say, we were going for more kind of conversational searches, people that may not be specifically looking for our solutions, but are looking for adjacent solutions to adjacent problems that then we could then build on with content. So yeah, we built out a quite impressive content ecosystem of blogs, downloadable ebooks, which were gated, which I know isn't the thing anymore, which we're changing, and webinar series as well. So we used to run a webinar a week at one point to really drive that kind of informative educational content, like you say, that you can then nurture over time. So yeah, it very much was expanding that top of funnel and then bringing them in by email or other channels over time. You just need to be patient, really patient, to understand that kind of that sales cycle from start to finish. You understand, okay, someone might come in this week. It could take them 3, 4, 5, or even 6 months in our case to convert. So I think it's also about communicating to senior management that they understand that kind of full process and what the strategy is all about.
And on that was the kind of leading indicators that enabled you to say, well, we've got some interest here. That's to see what actually converts. So you could buy yourself some time to be able to show the return on investment, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You're 100% right. We needed to show, yeah, we had enough. Yes, one, we had enough leads coming in, but they were also, the right company size. They also had the right job titles, and they were driving conversations, or at least first meetings with the sales team. And then beyond that, we could kind of optimize the sales funnel a little bit, and work with sales to really understand, okay, you've had some good conversations with these leads, but are they the right fit leads, to then move further down funnel? But yeah, especially with paid, you kind of need to have a bit of a maturity model that you can go to senior management and go, okay, cool, we're in phase one here, we're in experimentation with this channel. We're getting some wins here. There's some green shoots. We're going to move it to stage two now, and then there could be a third or fourth stage that's about repeatability, and then moving to kind of optimization and scale. So I definitely suggest to anyone, any marketing leader or any marketing manager, definitely have some sort of model or framework that you can share with senior management that tells them exactly where this channel is at in that kind of roadmap, much like you'd have a product roadmap, right? Where you can go, this product roadmap is in this stage at this milestone. It's going to take another 2-3 months until we get to the next milestone. Have the same framework with your paid experimentation as well. That makes it really clear to the CEO or the MD. Goes, okay, great. I know where LinkedIn is, or TikTok, or Reddit, whatever channel you're testing. Just so you can see exactly where that is, and how much return on investment you're getting at any point in time.
And did each of these channels, as you're validating them, need to stand on their own 2 feet? Or was there kind of suggestion there that there were particular channels that were contributing and had some attributed benefit to the ones that are at the bottom? Or was it very much, whatever you're spending, why you need to get extra turn and it needs to stack up as a CPA or a CPL?
Yeah, absolutely. We could go into attribution if you want. I mean, what marketer doesn't want to talk about attribution?
You sold it. You sold it, Dave.
Attribution it's never a perfect model. You can't get too stressed about attribution. I think that's the first thing to say. And also the way that third-party cookies are going nowadays, it's so hard to track someone who's clicked on a Google ad and then gone all the way through down to becoming customer. That's really hard to do. So that's the first thing to say. Also set up self-reported attribution as well. So anyone that's coming through a demo request form, an ebook form, make sure you're asking them, how did you hear about us? So at least you can then combine it with the data you're seeing in a HubSpot and a Salesforce, Marketo, whatever marketing automation platform you have. Make sure you have those two data pieces. Then you can just cross-reference and go, okay, my marketing automation is saying paid search, but they're saying I found you from social, or I found you at an event, or whatever the channel is, just so you've got two bits of data that you can then marry up and then go, okay, this aligns, this is working, or there's a little bit of difference here, why is that happening, versus just trusting your marketing attribution data, which is typically last click, and usually says organic or direct, let's be honest, which isn't super helpful. So yeah, back to your point, Ed. Almost all the time, you will notice an uptick in leads from paid social or paid search that won't be attributed through marketing automation. If it's working, you will usually see that kind of organic uptick from direct or organic search traffic, that then kind of trickles through. So yeah, it's not always about showing this lead came from paid search or paid social. You need to combine data and make people aware that attribution isn't complete. you'll never get to 100% certainty with it. So look at those other data sources. Has my traffic increased? Have my leads increased over the period of time that I've been running ads? If you're a SaaS platform, have my trial list numbers increased or account creations increased? Just make sure you're looking at those different metrics and go, okay, there's some correlation here. Something might be working, and then communicating that back to senior management and your team.
I mean, you doing that right at the beginning of your kind of startup to scale up journey, or is that something you did a lot more in the scale up phase?
Oh, definitely not at the start. When I was the first marketer, it was hair on fire busy. Everyone's working crazy hours. You're just trying to get stuff to work. And then over time you learn this stuff. So if you're a marketing manager and you're just joining a startup, you're not going to get this stuff right from the very beginning. And if you do, that's impressive. So yeah, it's definitely a learned behavior. And you joining us as well and coming in and running that process of the sales cycle and all that good work we did together definitely helped iron out that process and really streamline everything. So yeah, it's something you need to look at during that process, I'd say, during that switch from startup to scale up.
They were good times, weren't they? Good times. Seems a while
Anyway.
ago. So I suppose switching into customers at a kind of startup level, was there your kind of initial customers, they had a particular need, they were early adopters, and you kind of marketed to them in a particular way. And then as you grew, you kind of changed that positioning based on a kind of a slightly different cohort of customers. How did that evolve over time?
Yeah, we did the classic of serving SMBs, smaller businesses, and then moving upscale to enterprise, which is typically what happens from start to scale up. Usually you don't start enterprise and then move downstream. Usually it's moving upstream from smaller business to enterprise. So we were serving, when I first started at Zappar for our SaaS platform, we were serving smaller agencies, smaller creative agencies wanting to try newer immersive technologies to improve, marketing engagement, dwell times, customer retention, loyalty, all that good stuff. And kind of a long tail of mum and pop shops, smaller businesses that were like, I just want to try and improve my sales in store. How can I add some augmented reality to like my ticketing for my like appliances store? Was a customer that we had. So just loads of edge cases of customers that were using us, and then we really refined that agency proposition. So targeting kind of larger holding agencies and bigger creative agencies who had larger budgets and obviously bigger teams of designers and developers who were already using creative tooling. So that made a ton of sense. And then we introduced an enterprise pricing tier. I think, we had about 5 enterprise customers within the first 3 months. So it was quite an exciting period to be in the business going, oh my God, we just sold our first enterprise plan to a huge, big CPG brand in America. And now we do, 4 or 5 of those every month easily. So it's a long road, but just really nailing that messaging per cohort, really drilling down. Don't worry about, don't worry about that messaging becoming boring. You need to round that home to people and make it consistent. Once you find it boring, that's when it's working. That's usually the saying. That's usually once you've said it enough that it's probably gaining traction. And then, just making sure you're on the right channels and attending the right events where your cohorts will be at. So, for example, we did a ton of events for agencies and enterprise businesses that really worked well, and hosted kind of larger webinars and event meetups as well for those types of businesses. yeah, it's all about consistency and making sure you're just focused on those cohorts that are working.
And was there kind of pain that you went through around your messaging where you're trying to keep it applicable both to the wider audience as well as kind of SMBs, and finding something that was kind of appropriate? Did customers or those people tend to kind of self-identify? You could kind of show them what was right. I think sometimes people go through that evolution, especially when the value prop changes or the value prop evolves, especially when there's different customers and different customer groups going on.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, our positioning and messaging has evolved a lot over time, just because the technology space is so fast and it's booming. So we've had to evolve with the times as well, and new competitors coming into the space like Apple and Snap and TikTok and every one of the big tech firms. Um, but in terms of that wider messaging, we've tried to kind of align it with our mission and vision statement. So our whole mission was about kind of democratization and bringing these immersive technologies to as many people as possible. So that's we've kind of used that as a thread across our comms channels. So we usually try and feed that into the start of the blog, for example, or at the start of an email to customers. So that's kind of our connective tissue for those different cohorts. But then on the homepage of our site, it'd be very specifically targeting agencies or enterprise businesses who we know have a longer customer lifetime value and will stick around and use our product a little bit more. So yeah, we've thought about it in those two different routes, having a wider vision and mission that communicates to a wider group of people, and then being very specific on site to different cohorts to gain a bit more traction.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Makes sense. And if that vision and mission stays consistent, because you always know your classic your why is, then you can tailor your messaging accordingly. Yeah. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
All right. And then team. You mentioned team. It was just you, the hair on fire.
Yes.
To bring in other team members. How has that evolved? And look, if you've got any mistakes or any kind of true learnings that you can, that you can impart with us, that would be so useful as well. Just to understand what makes the best team and the best team members that are required as you scale and grow.
Yeah, great question. My first tip would be don't hire people that are like you. So try and hire people that have different skill sets that you don't have. I think I was so guilty of that in the early days. I was looking for people who were had the same skill sets or backgrounds or the same take on marketing that I did, which is fine and all good. But you want people that are going to complement your skill set as you scale up. So skills that you don't have, try and find those people that can fill those gaps and really create a well-rounded, complete marketing team that comes from a diverse range of backgrounds and skill sets. One of the things I always look for on a CV is have they done some sort of customer support, hospitality experience, something that tells me that they're willing to grind and speak to customers, speak to people, and they've got that I guess that empathy, that customer empathy in them from the start. I think that's a really useful skill set to take into marketing, to be able to speak to customers and really gain customer insight from them quickly and effectively, and then be able to use that on website copy or use it in a sales deck or an email. I think that's a really underrated skill set. And yeah, just hire people that are super passionate about marketing. And another good tell is, do they stay up to date with the latest podcasts, blogs? I always ask that in interviews. What marketing books have you read? have you read the classics, like, Seth Godin, or April Dunford's book on positioning, or are you listening to any Chris Walker, Demand Gen Live, or Revenue Vitals? I think that's a good tell whether they're really kind of tuned into the latest marketing tips and techniques.
Do you like them to, in terms of that classic like T-shaped marketer, right? And as the team grows, they have the kind of specialism in the channels that you think that make the most sense. How much of the that part of the T do you want versus the vertical part of the T, right? Do you the depth versus the kind of what, do you want them still to have a decent understanding, or just to be crazy shit hot in email marketing, for example?
Yeah. I mean, it really depends what stage you're at. I definitely hired more generalists in that startup stage. So, for example, I hired a really good marketing manager that had experience across content and website and social, and kind of loads of transferable skills. But then as we grew, hired a email marketer, which was very good, who we've now transitioned into demand generation as well, more broadly. And then we've kind of filled the holes with different agencies as well to lend that expertise where we could. So yeah, definitely generalists at the start. But then as you grow, you definitely need that specialism. Particularly from a paid point of view, you really want someone that understands paid channels and is really good at a spreadsheet and can work out.
No,
That's Chris.
No need to come into the room. You're a live webinar. Good to see
Yeah, brilliant.
you.
That's our product director.
Good stuff. Well, look, I suppose it'd be good to kind of finish up with kind of where next? Where next for Zappar? Where next for the team? You got to this kind of scale up stage. Do you continue to scale in the next kind of vein, or is there another kind of step change that you think you're going to make?
Yeah, so we're going for a big positioning exercise at the moment, and we're in the next couple of weeks. We're going to be updating all our messaging because there was a change in the industry that we need to react to. One of which being Apple's new headset, the Vision Pro. We've built some technology that works quite well with that over the web, which people can build for. So we're kind of future-proofing ourselves a little bit and moving with the times, and focusing on web delivery across a range of different devices versus just your smartphone. So we're updating website, sales decks, boilerplate copy, which is great. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what our customers think as we get kind of validation from them, and we probably tweak as we go, to be honest. But yeah, it's an exciting time. Exciting time indeed.
Yeah, always evolving. Good stuff. And I suppose last final question that I kind of want to end these sessions with. What's the kind of biggest piece of advice you could give to a startup founder or owner who's at that kind of startup stage and looking to really put fuel on the fire and looking to scale things up?
Yeah, definitely. Hire a marketer who doesn't want to change the website within the first week. hire a marketer that understands channel market fit, understands a range of different channels and strategies, and really wants to get to know your customer and product. If you don't know the customer and product, then you can't do great marketing. If you hire a marketer that just wants to tweak the aesthetics, and color things in and not really get close to the customer, then it's a bit of a red flag. So yeah, invest in marketing. invest in marketing, bring marketing in early, build that audience, and yeah, really drive revenue. So
Great.
yeah.
Great. Well, it's been great first session of this new series. Appreciate it, Dave. And
Yeah, lovely to be here.
yeah, good stuff. And look forward to speaking to everyone again soon. All right. Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Cheers, Ed.
Bye bye.